not that you or anybody else cares, but let's see, we had rain all day yesterday in Mason for the Cincinnati Open. We had the Tony and Mo training camp show earlier this week. That was on Tuesday. That sent us north to Kenwood after about 5 minutes. And that after the 4-hour and 45-minute show on Friday that we spent waiting for a practice to start that started. And then by the time it started, we had to leave for an FC Cincinnati game. So bear with us. This is live radio. This is the best. We'll set the scene for tonight. Bengals and Lions coming up this evening. Preseason opener. I have seen some pretty ominous warnings about the forecast. What I could tell you is tonight, I don't know. Today at 3:11 in the afternoon, the skies are mostly sunny. This field is sun-splashed. It is dry. The flags atop the goalposts are not moving. And so if they were to start playing football right now, I think we would be okay. Obviously, it being a preseason game, if they have to bag this thing, they will. If they have to stop it midway through and not come back and end the game prematurely, they will. Ideally, that is not what they do tonight. Let's talk about some things that we're looking for this evening. Let's be honest. The preseason for a team like the Bengals should be about one thing. Should be about depth. This offseason for the Bengals was almost entirely about defense, right? And so I'm going to start there. Yes, Joe Burrow is going to play. How extensively he plays remains to be seen. T. Higgins is going to play. Jamar Chase is going to play. We're expecting to see starters. Dexter Lawrence as well, although I can't imagine we're going to see him for more than a handful of snaps. But this offseason was about the defense. And so I'm starting there. Defense and depth. The Bengals didn't go 6-11 last season primarily because of their offense. Offensive woes contributed. They got shut out in a game last year. They got shut out in a game that Joe Burrow started at home against the Baltimore Ravens. But they had games where they scored tons of points and still lost. Some of the Joe Flacco games, it's been a theme over the last couple of years, wasting great offensive performances. Why was the defense bad? Lots of different reasons. The thing that stood out to a lot of us as the season unfolded, not that different from 2024, tackling. Where did the tackling issues start? Okay, Geno Stone, but they continued with Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. So first things first, I'm starting with those two players. We've had those guys under a microscope during the training camp practices, and they have, for the most part, been good. Demetrius Knight has shined in coverage. Barrett Carter has been used on blitzes. Neither guy has stood out for making glaring mistakes. But let's face it, in preseason games, they're not really tackling. They're thudding. So I'm just going to start there. Do we see a defense that has those two guys in the middle of it making tackles? And then it's about depth, and we can apply this to offense as well, but we're going to get an extended look at a lot of guys lower on the depth chart. We're going to get a look at some guys, especially on the defensive line, that still have a lot to prove. Dexter Lawrence is going to play. We know what Dexter Lawrence can be. We at least know why they acquired him. Boye Maffe's had a good camp. Cassius Howell has had, I think, for a lot of folks, an eye-opening camp. But there's some guys on this team who either need to earn roster spots or maybe earn a little bit more playing time and have a chance tonight to show some of the things they can do on the interior of that defensive line. And then the depth piece will make it about wide receiver as well. There's been an interesting, I don't know if battle is the right word, but there's been an interesting competition. We'll call it competition. There's been an interesting competition that has unfolded in training camp involving Andre Yoshivas, who's had his ups and downs. Colby Young, who so far has looked terrific in camp and has done a lot of things to make you feel like over the course of this season, he'll end up being the third wide receiver. And then a lot of guys lower on the depth chart who have stood out in practice. It's one thing to stand out in practice. Can you make plays in games? Mitchell Tinsley has stood out in practices before, but what put him on everybody's radar last summer was how he played in games. Do we see someone emerge from that bunch of wide receivers that we've talked about a lot, but hopefully we see a little bit more of tonight? There's also a message. That I'd like to see sent tonight, and we'll get to what that message is when we come back. We're broadcasting from Paycor Stadium. The Bengals are getting set to take on the Detroit Lions tonight, a matchup between two teams that played against each other in the regular season last year. Pretty disappointing Cincinnati loss at home. Hopefully the Bengals can get the preseason off to a great start. We are here till 5:30. Wayne Boxmiller has countdown to kickoff, and then Dan Hoare, Dave Lapham, and making his Bengals Radio Network debut, Tony Pike, with the call. Kickoff scheduled for 7 o'clock tonight. And don't forget Austin Elmore with post-game sports talk all the way until 1:30 tomorrow morning. 16 minutes after 3 o'clock, lots of ground to cover between now and 5:30 on ESPN 1530 Cincinnati Sports Station.
Crash on both shoulders. Red Bank at Duck Creek a breakdown. I'm Rick Schremp with traffic.
Help the planet with a tip from iHeartRadio Earth. Education doesn't just take place in the classroom. There are many ways children of all ages can learn about sustainability and the environment at home. Visit iHeartRadio.com/Earth for a list of resources, activity guides, and toolkits that are educational and fun for the whole family. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Buying pre-owned shouldn't feel risky. At Kelsey Chevrolet, every pre-owned vehicle comes with our Peace of Mind promise. Kelsey Family Pricing, a stress-free live market pricing approach, and lifetime powertrain protection. Drive confident today while we drive peace of mind at Kelsey Chevrolet.
Veterans, did you know you may qualify for no-cost home care? Freedom Home Care for Vets is a VA community care provider serving Hamilton County, Claremont County, and surrounding areas. Call Freedom Home Care for Vets today at 513-461-2780.
I scream. You scream. We all scream. Because Wendy's famous small classic Frosty is just $1 for a limited time. More screaming, happy screaming, summer screaming, dollar small classic Frosty screaming! But please don't scream in the drive-thru. It hurts the employees' ears. Get a $1 small classic Frosty for a limited time, only at Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. A la carte only, not valid for delivery. Limit 10 per transaction. Price may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
WesBanco strives to be a better financial partner by providing you with the tools, resources, and advice to power good financial decisions. We're here to help you build a strong foundation for today, tomorrow, and beyond, because money does not make you wealthy. Understanding it does. WesBanco Bank, member FDIC.
Help the planet with a tip from iHeartRadio Earth. Education doesn't just take place in the classroom. There are many ways children of all ages can learn about sustainability and the environment at home. Visit iHeartRadio.com/Earth for a list of resources, activity guides, and toolkits that are educational and fun for the whole family. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth. iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. When dining out or shopping at the grocery store, ask for sustainable seafood. By choosing sustainable seafood, you can help reduce overfishing, bycatch, loss of top predators, illegal fishing, and other harmful environmental impacts. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Baxla Tractor is Cincinnati's Kubota headquarters. Tractors, skid steers, mowers, UTVs, and more. They have it all. Stop by their showrooms for a Kubota today. Visit online at BaxlaTractor.com.
19 minutes after 3 o'clock, this is the R&L Carriers pregame sports talk show. We're presented today by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. I'm Mo Egger taking you to countdown to kickoff at 5:30 with Wayne Boxmiller. Bengals and Lions tonight, preseason opener. We're back and running as we should here, sitting in the back of the broadcast booth here at Paycor Stadium. My thanks to Dave Abbott, our technical expert, our maven, for figuring out a way to get us on the air. There was a brief power surge that went through some of the booths here at Paycor Stadium, but we are back. We are up and running, and we are ready to go. Bengals and Lions tonight. We'll tell you that the Reds on getaway day in Chicago, and they're expecting bad weather there because they moved the game up an hour. Right now, so far, so good. Cincinnati leads the White Sox by a score of 9-5, a game that involved a benches clearing incident. I would stop short of calling it a fight, but centered around a heated exchange between Sal Stewart and Davis Martin. My money, for what it's worth, would be on Sal Stewart. Martin hit Sal Stewart after buzzing him high and tight, and I was catching a lot of this on the radio, so I haven't even had a chance to see the highlights in great detail. But nonetheless, Cincinnati has hit the long ball today, which is what they have to do because that's how they score runs. Suarez, Stevenson, Stewart have each gone yard. Not a great start for Andrew Abbott, just 4 1/3, but so far the bullpen has done a nice job. Brock Burke and TJ Antone, 9-5. Reds headed to the top of the 7th inning. On getaway day in the south side of Chicago, we'll update you on that as things unfold. And obviously the big Reds news of the day, Hunter Green, Tommy John surgery, out for all of 2026, and unfortunately out for all of 2027. Let's take a look at tonight's player spotlight. It is brought to you by Furniture Fair. Get the guaranteed low price or it's free at Furniture Fair. I'm going to put 3 players under the spotlight. Two are a couple of guys that we talked about before the break. Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight. The Bengals cannot afford another year of missed tackles being an issue. It was a problem in 2024. Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight were not here. It was a problem in 2025. Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight were here. As rookies, those guys were thrown to the wolves. And it is remarkable to a degree that I am sitting here with the first preseason game, less than 4 hours away, and we're talking about an offseason where the Bengals did as little as they did at linebacker. And I know I've gone down this road before, but if I would have said at any point during the waning days of the season or right after the season ended that we'll be talking about before the Bengals play their first preseason game with Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight having their roles go unchallenged, you would have said, no way. I would have said, no way, and yet here we are. To their credit, both players have said all the right things. And being in practice the way we have, both players have done all the right things. The bottom line is this. Those 2 players combined for 34 missed tackles last year. Both guys had missed tackle rates of 15%. Both numbers among the bottom quarter of the NFL. The tackling has to be better. That obviously is something we could say about a lot of different positions. We expected from safety because, though he's not going to play tonight, Brian Cook is a great tackler. Geno Stone is not. Bengals didn't replace Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. Now, both guys have been near the ball. Both guys have, especially Demetrius Knight, have looked really good in coverage. But at the end of the day, you got to get the dude with the ball to the ground. Do those 2 guys do that tonight? The other that I'll put under the spotlight, and this is very, very easy, but I'm going to do it nonetheless. I'm going to put Joe Burrow under the spotlight. Now, every single Bengals game, Joe Burrow is under the spotlight. He's going to be under the spotlight tonight for probably not a very long amount of time. But, I feel like with Joe Burrow, we have spent a lot of time this offseason and more listening than talking, but hearing about everything when it comes to Joe Burrow except how good he is. Like, God knows there have been endless takes on, whether or not Joe is going to try to engineer his way out of Cincinnati. I even saw, and I'm not even sure who was responsible for the content because I didn't consume it, but I saw something that popped in my feed where it was a commentator wondering, is Joe Burrow going to be the quarterback of the LA Rams in 2027? There have been a lot of column inches and a lot of space on social media and a lot of time on podcasts and NFL shows where people have wondered about the relationship between Joe and the Bengals, which I think if you've paid attention to what Joe has had to say during the second half of the offseason, certainly feels like he's in a really good place. But I feel like we've talked about so much about Joe Burrow that has very little to do with how good he is, that tonight
it would be fun if he could just remind everybody, oh, yeah, he's still pretty good. Now, look, their game plan tonight might be to have him hand the ball off a couple of times, operate under center. Fans get to see him. He jogs off. He plays a series. He plays 2 series. He doesn't do anything necessarily noteworthy, although in the first preseason game of the year last year against the Philadelphia Eagles, if you go back and watch, and frankly, not sure why you would, played pretty well. I just think it would be fun. Because I've done this topic where I've talked about Joe when he came back last year, and he had a clunker. That game against the Baltimore Ravens was troubling for 1,000 different reasons, but one of them was Joe played extraordinarily poorly and frankly at times looked checked out. But beyond that, Joe Burrow put up numbers last year that weren't that far off from the numbers he puts up when he's an MVP finalist, which he's been at the end of each of his last 2 full seasons. And so I think you kind of have to remind people at times, like Joe played last year, and while he might not have been as awesome as he typically has been, he was still often really, really good, albeit at times against bad opponents or in games that didn't count for anything toward the end of the year. I just think, even it's like this offseason, you know, we've spent more time, I think, talking about Hollywood Joe and Joe off the field and his outside interests, and I have no issue with him having any kind of outside interest. I think it would be fun tonight. And maybe this happens, maybe it doesn't. If he just gave us a small reminder, maybe it's a throw, maybe it's his performance during a series, maybe it's engineering 1 or 2 touchdown drives, maybe it's operating in an offense that's showing you some things that you typically might not expect an offense to show you during the preseason. I just think it would be cool as hell if Joe could sort of remind everybody through his play, oh yeah, as the kids say, I'm him. There's a reason why my peers and people in the NFL voted me a tier 1 quarterback. There's a reason why I'm a good value bet to be the NFL's MVP. There's a reason why people are bullish on the Bengals. And yes, it's Dexter Lawrence and Brian Cook and all the defensive additions, but it's still because they have Joe Burrow, elite offensive weaponry, and on that side of the football, unprecedented continuity. And what should be the best offensive line he's ever played behind, among all the things that could unfold tonight. And I would be more than happy if Joe didn't play, because I don't think you can go far enough to protect your biggest investment. But if he is going to play, how about just a little reminder? I'm still freaking good. And there are reasons to talk about me that have nothing to do with whether or not I'm going to ask for a trade or whether or not I'm going to try to work my way out of here or how happy I am or where my mental state is. Let's talk about how good I am. And maybe tonight there can just be a small reminder for those who maybe have forgotten. We will see. 28 minutes after 3 o'clock. We're going to go to Detroit coming up at 4:20 tonight, talk a little bit about the Detroit Lions. Tony Pike is going to join us in about 15 minutes for the first of 2 training camp reports. We do them normally 3:45, 4:45, and 5:45. We are not going to have a 5:45 training camp report because Wayne Boxmiller is going to be on the air with Countdown to Kickoff. We do have a lot of stuff to get to between now and 5:30 this afternoon. I do want to talk about a guy who has been in Joe Burrow's position. We'll spend some time on that and a lot more on what we're looking for this evening as the Bengals get set to play preseason game number 1. Sports headlines are coming up 29 minutes after 3 o'clock, broadcasting from Paycor Stadium. It's the R&L Carriers pregame sports talk show presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers on the official home of the Bengals, ESPN 1530 Cincinnati Sports Station.
Cincinnati's ESPN 1530. Traffic.
From the UC Health Traffic Center, don't wait for answers for a cancer diagnosis. At the UC Cancer Center Rapid Diagnostic Clinic, you can be seen within 2 days. Call 585-UC-ECC. We have the accident on 71 southbound at Field Turtle taking up the left lane. Red Bank at Duck Creek, a crash. Ormond Road to Millville Avenue. Jackknife Semi being cleaned up. 71 southbound at Montgomery, that crash is now cleared. I'm Rick Schremp with traffic.
It's doing the little things right and attention to quality to make us the right choice to work on your home. Not just covering your old shingles with new. The continued quality of our work is what you deserve.
Ray St. Clair Roofing.
defense wins championships, and great windows defend against drafts. Pella goes beyond durability and beauty with expertly crafted, energy-efficient windows built to last. Upgrade today with Pella Now, pay later. Visit PellaWindowsCincinnati.com to make life brighter.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
While the pros use the preseason to prepare for the games that count, you and I use it to prepare for our fantasy football drafts. Looking for a place to have your draft? How about Long Neck Sports Grill? Have your fantasy draft at Long Necks and get a free draft kit plus up to $100 in coupons and wing specials, and of course, $9 Bud Light and Busch Light pitchers. 3 locations in Northern Kentucky. Learn more at longnecksportsgrill.com. Long Neck Sports Grill. Stay long. Come often.
At Nixco Plumbing, we show up ready with solutions, not guesses. From tough clogs to everyday repairs, you get the honest, expert service you deserve. Schedule today at nixcoplumbing.com. Choose a pro. Choose Nixco.
Supplying the tri-state with propane for over 75 years, Auxure Gas is constantly striving for the best pricing and high standards of safety, service, and reliability. Call Auxure Gas today at 513-724-7700 or online at auxuregas.com.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season is heating up, and it all comes down to this. The Big 3 playoffs are coming to Dallas, Texas. The 4 best teams in the Big 3 battle it out for a spot in the championship. The action starts with the legendary Big 3 Celebrity Game. 3 games of the most physical, competitive, and nonstop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET. Oh, yay, yay!
It's back to school season, and AE Door & Window is offering extra credit. All through August, you can get 0 down, 0 interest for 2 years. Plus, save up to 15% off Provia entry doors, storm doors, and select Clopay garage doors. Save up to 20% off windows by Pella and Provia. And get up to $150 off a next-generation LiftMaster opener. Combine and save for another 5% off your total order. Study up on these savings at aeDoorsales.com.
We sell the best and service the rest. AE.
ESPN 1530.
Sports headlines are a service of Kelsey Chevrolet, home of lifetime powertrain protection and guarantee credit approval from their family to yours for life, KelseyChev.com. We expect to see some starters tonight as the Bengals open up the preseason against the Detroit Lions at 7 o'clock live on ESPN 1530. Hopefully the weather cooperates. We will see. Countdown to kickoff continues our coverage at 5:30. One other area of football note, congratulations to Jason Kelsey, the University of Cincinnati today announcing that he has been selected for the 50th anniversary class of the James P. Kelly Athletics Hall of Fame at the University of Cincinnati. That induction ceremony, and it is a crowded class, will be on Friday, October the 23rd. Meanwhile, south side of Chicago, Reds have a 9-5 lead over the Chicago White Sox. Cincinnati got 3 runs in the first inning. Eugenio Suarez and Sal Stewart each homered, not in that order. They then proceeded to give away that lead and then some, but they have roared back Cincinnati with 3 long ones on the day. Suarez, Stewart, also Tyler Stevenson. Reds are up 9-5. They entered play today 5.5 games out of the last wild card. Reds will be home tomorrow to host the Miami Marlins. By the way, one of the teams the Reds are chasing is in the Field of Dreams game tonight in Iowa, Phillies and Minnesota Twins. The big Reds news of the day, however, Hunter Green did undergo Tommy John surgery. He will obviously miss the rest of 2026, and certainly likely that he'll miss the entire 2027 season. Florence Y'alls host Lake Erie tonight. Cincinnati Open. They're playing tennis today in Mason. We were there yesterday. Unfortunately, no tennis was played, at least while we were there. They played some matches late in the night without fans. J.J. Wolf advanced to the main draw. Cincinnati's Katie McNally will play tonight against McCartney Kessler. It is 25 away from 4 o'clock. Let's take a look at what happened on this date in Cincinnati sports history. It is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors, proud sponsors of the Pella Windows and Doors drone show at the upcoming Western and Southern WEBN fireworks. 20 years ago today, with Carson Palmer still not quite ready to come back from the debilitating knee injury he suffered in the previous year's playoffs, Anthony Wright started at quarterback for the Bengals, and they beat the then Washington Redskins at what was Paul Brown Stadium 19-3, 20 years ago, August 13th, 2006. We have a lot more baseball stuff happening on August the 13th. It was on this date in 1931. Red second baseman Tony Cuccinello went 6 for 6 at the plate against the Boston Braves. He had a triple, 2 doubles, 3 singles, drove in 5, in a lopsided, massive 17-3 Reds victory. It was on this date in 1963. Jim Maloney threw a complete game 2-hit shutout to beat Juan Marichal and the San Francisco Giants. Frank Robinson and Vada Pinsent both homered to back Maloney's gem. 1969, August 13th, Johnny Bench, might have heard of him, 11th inning grand slam off Montreal reliever Elroy Face, breaking open a tie game to lift the Reds to an 8-3 victory. It was on this date, 1983. Cincinnati native Jeff Russell made his major league debut for his hometown team, pitched a 3-hitter, beat the Padres 3-1, and helped his own cause with an RBI double. It was on this date in 1961. Reds blew out the San Francisco Giants 8-1. Crucial victory inched them toward the National League pennant. They would obviously end up playing in the World Series, falling to the New York Yankees. 1971, August 13th, Don Gullett and Wayne Granger combined to throw a dominant one-hitter against the Cubs at Riverfront Stadium. Only Chicago hit came with 2 outs in the 8th inning. Reds won the ball game 8-2. And 1 year ago today, Hunter Green pitched 6 sharp innings. And Miguel Andujar, the newly acquired Miguel Andujar, launched a grand slam. Reds beat the Philadelphia Phillies by a score of 8-0. Let's spend just a minute or so on Hunter Green. Mentioned the news earlier, Tommy John surgery. We knew he was done for the rest of 2026. They're calling it a timeline of 12 to 18 months, and so maybe on the most optimistic end of that, he comes back and pitches at the very, very end of last season. That certainly doesn't seem likely. Look, you could be exasperated with Hunter Green. I share that exasperation. You could be mad at Hunter Green. I don't know why you would be mad at him. You could be tired of hearing about him. Whatever it is, what you can't deny is, since the Reds took him with the 2nd overall pick in the 2017 draft, he has been thought of as a cornerstone of this organization. And whether it's been when the Reds hit the rebuild button or reset button in 2021, 2022, whether it was last year, whether it was spring training this year, or even as recently as a week ago, he has been viewed as one of the foundational core pieces of this franchise. And replacing foundational core pieces of any franchise is not easy. And that's something the Reds are going to have to figure out, because the strength of this team, yes, Ellie De La Cruz is terrific, and yes, Sal Stewart should be, and I think is going to be the National League Rookie of the Year, having an awesome rookie season. And they do have some other pieces. I would include, obviously, Chase Burns, that goes without saying. I would include Andrew Abbott. Maybe there's a case for 1 or 2 others, but the strength of this team, regardless of who you like the most, the strength of this team is supposed to be its pitching depth. The pitching depth has been compromised this season. Rhett Lauder has been at times ineffective. Brandon Williamson has barely pitched. Nick Lodolo has spent time on the injured list. Hunter Green has pitched in 5 games. We're already talking about next year's pitching depth being compromised. That's not something that happened in spring training next year. It's not something that happened during the offseason. It's something happening now, and you might go, well, that's cool because you have a little bit more time to prepare. You have a little bit more time to plan. But still, like, you are the foundation of the Reds. If they were being completely honest and told you, like, here's how we are best positioned to win in 2027, it probably involves a starting rotation that includes Hunter Green, and him being at or near the top of that starting rotation. That's a hard guy to replace. You've got to figure out a way to replace what Hunter Green is supposed to be. You could argue he's not what he's supposed to be often enough, and you can you can be frustrated with him, whatever. You'd be frustrated with his body, whatever it is. But like what Hunter Green is supposed to be at this stage in his career is legitimate staff ace, a guy who you give the ball to every 5 days and feel like you're going to win most of those games, a guy who's supposed to eat up innings for you, and you're not getting any of that. You got to replace what he is supposed to be, which is not going to be easy. And yeah, man, you could talk about all the other starting pitching depth they have, but most of the guys you're going to mention are guys who are either very inexperienced or who are also always hurt. Oh, and by the way, just because Hunter Green's not going to pitch for the team next year, while his salary next season is comparably low, you still got to pay him next year. So you're going to have to figure out a way to replace him, but you're not using the money he's making or is due to make. It's not an easy place to be. What Hunter Green is supposed to be is one of the very best pitchers in baseball. That's what the Reds are built around. Having some of the best pitchers in baseball. That is, they're building the team around pitching and defense. It is more difficult to build the team around pitching and defense when one of your best pitchers will not throw a pitch for you for an entire season. 19 from 4 o'clock. They're practicing the national anthem behind us at Paycor Stadium. I guess I should stand and remove my hat. Tony Pike is going to be in this broadcast booth tonight, making his Bengals Radio Network debut. He joins us with his first training camp report next on ESPN 1530 Cincinnati Sports Station.
Cincinnati's ESPN 1530. Traffic.
From the UC Health Traffic Center, don't wait for answers for a cancer diagnosis. At the UC Cancer Center Rapid Diagnostic Clinic, you can be seen within 2 days. Call 585-UC-ECC. 71 northbound between Stewart and Kenwood, left lane blocked with an accident. Delays of the lateral. And down Montgomery Road at Dana, we have a crash here now on 71 southbound at Field Turtle. The crash here has both shoulders affected. Slowdowns to Western Road, Jackknife Semi-Mormon Road at Millville Avenue. I'm Rick Schremp with traffic.
We all have things in our homes and closets we no longer use. Give those items a second life by donating them to Goodwill. Every donation supports veteran housing, helps people secure jobs, and provides services to our community. Make a difference. Donate to Goodwill today.
Beat the heat with Bartell's Heating and Cooling. Fast AC repairs, reliable installs, and tune-ups to keep you cool all summer. Call Bartell's Heating and Cooling, 513-867-8629, or visit bartellsheatingcooling.com. Bartell's, for a comfortable way of life.
Looking for a rewarding part-time job with a schedule that fits your life? Join the team at Red Key Express. Help transport students safely, earn competitive pay, and enjoy flex scheduling. Apply today at redkeyexpress.com. Red Key Express, driven by excellence.
Nothing says summer like fresh fields, busy job sites, and our hometown team in action. Hudson Oil keeps Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky moving with reliable delivery of diesel, gasoline, and DEF for farms, golf courses, and construction sites. Hudson Oil, fueling your hometown team.
The Independent Electrical Contractors of Greater Cincinnati is looking for journeyman electricians, field workers, and apprentices to work with one of their 70 contractor members in the Cincinnati area. Call 513-542-0400 or online at iec-cincy.com.
When cancer hits, the right game plan can change everything. Cincinnati Cancer Advisors is here to help coach you through it, providing expert second opinions, guidance, and support. World-class care right here in Cincinnati and at zero cost to the patient. Thanks to generous donors of the Cincinnati Cancer Foundation. Learn more at cincinnaticanceradvisors.org.
Keep your summer fun going during Toyota's national sales event with a stylishly affordable Corolla. Now through August 31st, lease a new gas-powered 26 Corolla LE for $219 a month for 36 months with $39.99 due at signing for a contract cost of $11,664. Excludes all applicable taxes and government fees with approved credit through TFS. Price will vary based on accessories. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
When your commercial property needs blacktopping and concrete expertise, call Quality Blacktop.
Quality Blacktopping is Cincinnati's most trusted company. Professionally paved asphalt and concrete services, qualityblacktopping.com.
From the Braun Heating Tempstar Weather Center, here's your forecast.
It's been a nice brief break from downpours and storms, but that won't last for long. Chances for rain will start to sneak back in this evening into the overnight hours. Expect widespread showers and downpours with the chance for flooding to become an issue again as we move throughout our entire Friday. That's your 9 First Warning forecast. I'm meteorologist Cameron Harden.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Good to know. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
ESPN 1530.
Tony Pike is with us. He is going to be in the booth tonight with Dan Horde and Dave Lapham making his Bengals Radio Network broadcast debut, but he still has to do these. Training camp reports with me once an hour. Let's talk about the game plan tonight, because I think it's going to run counter to what we've seen during training camp practices, where we've seen the Bengals experiment. They have a lot more Joe Burrow under center. They're moving guys around, lots of motioning, lots of shifting. Zach Taylor says we're not going to see nearly as much of that tonight.
Yeah, he mentioned in his press conference earlier in the week, simplify the game plan and clean execution. You have installed so much of a catalog to this point, and while I think that first group, it would be advantageous to run some under center runs just to get that look. When Joe Burrow leaves the game, I expect to see a very simple game plan on both sides of the ball, and that's when you get into the preseason, you're not trying to out-execute the other team.
Right.
You want it simple because you want guys playing fast and confident because they know what they're doing. That way, when you watch the tape, you can evaluate, hey, here's a player. They understand what they're being asked. Can they win their one-on-one battles? Can they execute? Offensively and defensively tonight, that's what it's about. Give guys opportunities on the defensive side of the ball. You know what the base coverage is. You know what the base alignment is. Can you go make a play one-on-one? Then you watch the tape, and then you see, okay, here's a guy that we can build into more, or maybe here's a guy that's not quite ready yet.
Yeah, and to me, that's going to start with the depth on the offensive line, which you and I have talked about. I'm not looking for them to run crazy pass protection schemes or do exotic things in the run game. I want to see if those guys can just simply block the dude in front of them.
And can you block a second and third string guy from the Lions?
Yeah.
Because the Lions are not going to play their starters in this game. I want guys who can win one-on-one battles. Offensive line, to me, is still one of the major question marks at camp. We just haven't seen a lot. We know what the starting five is. Everyone's pretty comfortable with that. Joe Burrow gets the contingency from that group. What happens if they need to fill one of those spots for a game or a quarter or multiple games? Do they have that on the roster?
And the wide receiver position is interesting, because Andre Yoshivas is holding off some challenges, and it's worth mentioning. Mike Gesicki is basically a wide receiver. Chase Brown is utilized as a wide receiver a lot with all the different things we've seen the Bengals do in training camp practices. Pretty much anybody could be a wide receiver, but at that position specifically, as guys listed as wide receiver, from Colby Young down, been some interesting things happening during camp. I want to see how that translates into the game tonight.
Think of the names that have flashed or we've talked about during training camp. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Colby Young. What about Charlie Jones? His impact also on special teams. Mitch Tinsley, Kendrick Pryor. We've talked about Dante Myers. Noah Brown. And what his role, or Noah Thomas, and what his role could possibly be. So they are deep at wide receiver outside of just the top two guys and Andre Yoshivas and what he can be. I'm interested to see who now in a game setting can translate what they've done on the field and go make some plays with the lights on. I mean, that's the thing tonight, too, for these rookies. You can call it preseason all you want. These guys have gone their whole life with the goal of getting to the NFL. This is the first chance they get to run out of Paycor Stadium with fans in a game that matters.
Tony, here in about 45 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. Tony in the booth tonight with Dan Horde and Dave Lapham. Bengals Radio Network kickoff at 7 o'clock. Tony joins us all throughout training camp, all throughout the preseason, 3:45, 4:45, and 5:45. This is the R+L Carriers pregame sports talk show. We are presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Let's take a look at the delivery of the game. It is brought to you by R&L Carriers. Go to rlc.com and make R&L Carriers your global transportation provider. Now, the highlight of the game during the pregame show is obviously a reference to the delivery of the game from the previous week. Bengals didn't play a game last week. This is preseason number 1. So let's talk about a guy that we expect to have a lot of deliveries as the games start to unfold, certainly beginning on September the 13th, and that's Chase Brown. Chase Brown toward the end of the season was awesome. He had a terrific year last year, his third NFL season, 1,456 yards from scrimmage, and he was on fire late, had 6 touchdowns in the Bengals' last 3 games. You could say what you want about the quality of the opponents they were playing. You could say what you want about the relative meaninglessness of the games. Chase Brown was awesome. And among the many things I'm looking forward to seeing this year, and I would imagine you would agree, would be kind of season with Chase Brown. Number 1, contract year for him. And there's certainly a world where the Bengals give him the franchise tag and don't let him hit free agency, but it is a contract year for him. There's always, you would expect, a little bit more motivation from a player whose deal is set to expire. There's a lot of money out there to be made for Chase Brown, but it's also an offense that could emphasize the run a little bit more. Chase has gone out of his way, and he talked about this with us during one of our training camp interviews. He has gone out of his way to not only improve as a pass catcher, where he's done wide receiver drills, and he's gone through drills in practice where he's working out with the wide receivers, but also he's improved tremendously in pass protection. And so, there's no real reason to ever take him off the field. A guy like Chase Brown in this offense, Chase Brown in any offense is a hell of a weapon, but given the way last season unfolded for him, given the sort of work in progress nature of the Bengals offense as they try to operate in a way that is different than you normally expect the Bengals to operate, and then the added dose of motivation for Chase Brown because of where he is in his career, the kind of coin he looks to make maybe beyond this season, we're expecting a lot of big things from the Bengals offense. We're expecting, obviously, a lot of big things from some of the individual players. I think we're all expecting an enormous season from Chase Brown, where I don't think it would be stunning at all if he surpassed 1,456 yards from scrimmage, which was the number he had last year. He was on fire at the end of the season last year. Really looking forward to seeing how he gets going. The Bengals take on the Buccaneers a month from today. There's a lot of other ground to cover. We've got Bengals and Lions that we're going to get to tonight. We're going to go to Detroit, talk about the team the Bengals play tonight coming up at 4:20. We're looking forward to that. We'll put a bow in the Reds game when it comes to an end, maybe have some reaction from Chicago. There's an NFL story that I think is interesting because I think it – I don't know. I think it gives us a chance for a little bit of a lesson, and it involves somebody who is often compared to Joe Burrow and who actually once had the job that Joe Burrow had before he came to Cincinnati, and that's Jaden Daniels. The Jaden Daniels NIL/jersey number controversy is something we're going to have to spend a little bit of time on coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. In terms of other stuff to watch for, I think you always look for themes of the preseason to continue once the games begin. And this hasn't just been a theme of the preseason or training camp, but it's been a theme of the last 7 months. Duke Tobin had a press conference shortly after the Bengals season ended. Remember, it was this big civic event, this big press conference where, you had all the non-sports people covering it, and we carried it live, and it was this big deal about Duke Tobin speaking on the record publicly in that forum for the first time ever. If there is one thing that stood out from that press conference, it's this quote: "Pass rush is king. Pass rush is king." Now, obviously, what's followed is the acquisition of Boye Mafe, the acquisition of Dexter Lawrence, the drafting of Cassius Howell, an emphasis on getting a better pass rush despite not having Trey Hendrickson anymore from a volume of guys, having the overall accumulation of players they have up front to be able to do a better job getting after the quarterback. Let's see if that theme, which every single day during training camp, we have been talking about somebody winning up front, somebody disrupting Joe Burrow, somebody making him uncomfortable, somebody wreaking havoc, somebody blowing up an offensive lineman, somebody embarrassing an offensive lineman. Kind of curious tonight, whether it be from one of the bigger names that we've talked about or maybe from somebody who's a little bit off the grid. Let's see if that offseason theme and that training camp theme continue tonight. Pass rush was king in February, was king in March, April. It's certainly been king in late July and early to mid-August. Is it king tonight? Because if it's king tonight, then the theme of the training camp becomes the theme of the preseason, and then obviously we'll soon start talking about the theme of the regular season. That, to me, biggest question I think a lot of us have on defense is, are they going to be able to make tackles? Is there faith in guys like Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight going to be paid off? But is this team better at getting after the quarterback? Remember, this is something they've been trying to address for a while. Go back to when Miles Murphy was drafted. That is 2023. That is forever ago. So even while they had Trey Hendrickson, even while Trey Hendrickson was leading the league in sacks, they were trying to upgrade their pass rush. Feels like they've done it so far this offseason. Feels like those offseason additions are paying dividends so far during training camp. Does that theme continue into a game tonight? We'll find out starting at 7 o'clock. A lot of ground to cover between now and 5:30. Reds and White Sox are playing right now. That ball game right now is in the bottom of the 8th inning, and Chicago has scored twice and is threatening. It's 9-7 Reds in the bottom of the 8th inning on getaway day on the south side of Chicago. We'll certainly keep you up to date as that game unfolds. And a lot more to come from Paycor Stadium as we get set for the Bengals and the Detroit Lions. Countdown to kickoff comes your way at 5:30. The game at 7 o'clock on the official home of the Bengals, ESPN 1530.
Hosting August Outdoors? Rude. Beat the heat with an AC from Rude. Visit RudeCincinnati.com. RUUD Cincinnati.com.
Looking to earn more with your checking account? Kemba has the answer. Get Green Checking pays you up to $45 a month. It's as simple as using your debit card, viewing e-statements, and logging into online or mobile banking. Open your account today and earn up to $45 a month with Kemba. For details and qualifications, visit Kemba.com. That's KEMBA.com. APY equals annual percentage yield. Monthly example based on earning 4% APY on a daily balance of $15,000 throughout a 28-day qualification cycle and meeting all qualifications. Rates subject to change. Insured by NCUA.
I scream. You scream. We all scream. Because Wendy's famous small classic Frosty is just $1 for a limited time. More screaming, happy screaming, summer screaming, dollar small classic Frosty screaming! But please don't scream in the drive-thru. It hurts the employees' ears. Get a $1 small classic Frosty for a limited time, only at Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. A la carte only, not valid for delivery. Limit 10 per transaction. Price may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Football fans, Mike Castrucci Ford in Milford and Mike Castrucci Ford Lincoln of Alexandria, they are your source for Ford Super Duty pickup trucks. F-250, F-350, even F-450. If it says Super Duty, it's on sale right now. Ford employees and retirees, we welcome your A and Z plan business. Ford Super Duty pickup trucks, they are on sale right now at Mike Castrucci Ford.
Unlock the savings at Boost Mobile and save up to $600 a year. I've been scouting these big carriers for a minute now, and I've seen them pull the same play 1,000 times. They promise you the world, then hit you with a price hike right when the game gets tight. But Boost Mobile, their $25 a month unlimited wireless plan is the most consistent player on the floor. No contracts, no price hikes. Unlock the savings today at boostmobile.com/unlock. Based on average annual single line payment of AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile customers compared to 12 months of the Boost Mobile unlimited wireless plan as of January 2026. For full offer details, visit boostmobile.com.
Empower those who serve. Donate your unused vehicle to DAV and help provide free programs and services to veterans and their families. Visit dav.careasy.org and make a real difference today.
At Omega Wealth Private Capital, we help you be and stay retirement ready. With our 5 agreements, we make sure that your retirement isn't the finish line, it's your flourish time. I'm Brad Johansson. Call Omega Wealth Private Capital today.
Furniture Fair's double tax discount sale ends Monday. Your last chance to get the area's lowest prices guaranteed. Plus a discount equal to double your state sales tax or no interest for 36 months. Sale ends Monday at Furniture Fair.
It's Furniture Fair's Labor Day mattress sale. For a limited time, get this Serta split head queen mattress with adjustable base, sheets, and pillows for just $60 a month. The Labor Day mattress sale going on now at Furniture Fair.
A couple of months after being the top overall pick in the NFL draft, Fernando Mendoza will be making his preseason debut tonight. The Raiders' plan for their rookie quarterback is plenty of snaps against the Cardinals. He could get some with members of the first-team offensive line. Mendoza's practiced mostly with the second team after Kirk Cousins was named the starter. Arizona rookie quarterback Carson Beck rib injury will not play. The injury, though, is not considered serious. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow and Cincinnati's other stars will play in at least a few snaps versus the Lions tonight. ESPN NFL reporter Jeremy Fowler.
They're trying to get in and out, just get like a dress rehearsal, and you won't see Joe Burrow on the field very long. But the Bengals like how they did last year. Zach Taylor put him out there early in the preseason to get a dress run. It went well. Everybody was healthy. They got some good work in, made sure they were ready for week one. So they're going to replicate that plan. And also, Joe Burrow's missed significant time in the last 3 to 4 years. So he wants to be out there with his guys, make sure that offense is crisp.
Bills coach Joe Brady planning on everybody that's healthy playing Saturday against Carolina, including quarterback Josh Allen, in the first game ever played at the team's new stadium.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ Chris Candy coming up Friday. Baker and the Bucks couldn't agree on a new deal. I'll tell you if any bad blood will carry into the regular season. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
This is 1530 WCKY, the 50,000-watt orange and black home of the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati's ESPN 1530.
Hey, Cincinnati, it's Lance McAllister. When it comes to protecting your home, trust the crew that plays every season like it's the big game, Kangaroo. Score a new roof now, and we'll throw in gutter guards absolutely free. No more clogged gutters, just winning protection for your home with no extra cost. Our roofs are built tough for every kickoff, and the free gutter guards keep water damage out of bounds. This deal is a real touchdown, but it won't last long. Visit GoKanga.net for a free estimate. Kangaroo, we hop to it.
Grandstanders Kangaroo.
Bet on sports at Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg, plus Ted Nugent live September 19th. Get tickets at Ticketmaster. Must be 21. Gambling problem? In Indiana, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT or text INGAMB to 53342.
You worked hard your whole life. You paid into Social Security, but now you're disabled and the government denied your claim. At O'Connor, Achani & Levy, we help people right here in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana fight back and get the disability benefits they've earned.
O'Connor, Achani & Levy. Attorneys you know, attorneys you trust.
Experience the value of expert auto body repair at Airport Paint and Body. With 6 convenient locations in the tri-state area, we restore your vehicle to its pre-accident condition. We accept all insurance companies and offer a limited lifetime warranty. Airport Paint and Body. Quality of yesterday, knowledge of today.
Does your commercial fitness room stink? At Exercise and Leisure, we're your local Cincinnati fitness equipment experts for all things commercial or residential. From design to installation to service, we handle it all. Earn your leisure at exerciseandleisure.com.
Hosting August Outdoors? Rude. Beat the heat with an AC from Rude. Visit RudeCincinnati.com. RUUD Cincinnati.com.
This is the R&L Carriers Pregame Sports Talk, presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Pregame Sports Talk is brought to you by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. AE Door and Window Company. They sell the best and service the rest. Encore Technologies. Visit encore.tech. Your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Visit Toyota.com for all Toyota offers. Toyota, let's go places. And by R&L Carriers. Visit RLC.com and make R&L Carriers your global transportation provider. Now, Pregame Sports Talk.
That's us. Good afternoon, 3 minutes after 4. This is ESPN 1530. I'm Mo Egger, broadcasting from the home radio booth at Paycor Stadium. This is the R&L Carriers Pregame Sports Talk Show. We are presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. I'm Mo Egger. We're getting you set for the Bengals and Lions tonight. Kickoff is just about 3 hours away. Wayne Boxmiller has countdown to kickoff at 5:30, and then the game at 7 p.m. with Dan Horde, Dave Lapham and Tony Pike. Our post-game coverage will go until about 1:30 in the morning. Austin Elmore has post-game sports talk. I am in the back of the broadcast booth. It is there's a little bit of I'll call it a sun and cloud mix. I'm seeing the sun hit off the seats in the upper deck on the east side of the stadium. I have completely and totally given up on being able to forecast or predict weather. I'm a dumb sports guy, and barely that. I'm not going to pretend to be a meteorologist, but I do know that I've seen I've seen some speculation that weather could be something that impacts the game tonight. Maybe there's a delay. Preseason games are not handled like NFL regular season games, and we've seen this before where the rain comes, the lightning hits, and instead of waiting 30 minutes, they just bang the thing. We will see if there's any sort of impact on the game tonight. Hope not. Bengals and Lions, it was striking to me. I was in this booth that I'm in right now 6 days ago with Tony Pike. And the Bengals were supposed to practice inside the stadium at 6 o'clock. The gates were supposed to open at 4:30. Because of the severe weather, the gates didn't open, I think, until about 5:40 or 5:45. I saw pictures on social media of the outdoor concourse, where people wait to get in. And I don't want to say it looked like a regular season game, but it didn't look like people were showing up to watch a practice. And they opened the gates, and a lot of those folks, with nothing going on in here. It's not like, well, the team wasn't practicing, but they had something happening on the field or on the video board. There's nothing going on in here. Really, the only thing happening in this stadium was Tony and I doing a radio show in this booth. And then the team obviously got on buses and went down to the practice bubble, and they got some work in. And then, like about 7:15 or so, they announce that the shelter in place is over and you can go to your seats. And before the team even got here, and they came back and worked out for, 25, maybe 30 minutes. Not surprising is maybe the wrong word, but it was striking how many people were here. It was striking to me how many people waited out the rain, waited out the uncertainty of whether or not we were going to have any kind of practice, and hung around and watched. And if you saw a photo of it or if you saw any footage, they weren't going to have 65,000 people here, but still to have what they had, I thought was pretty awesome. And so you got a lot of folks who been waiting a long time to see a glimpse of the Bengals tonight, and hopefully that happens, and it's uninterrupted. Bengals and Lions coming up at 7 p.m. Let's take a look at how every piece is important. It is brought to you by Donato's Pizza, where every piece is important. Donato's, the official pizza of the Bengals. Let's talk about a couple of different pieces. One is just the collective wide receiver battle, because it feels like they're really good there, and that clearly starts at the top of the depth chart with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But like even lower on the depth chart, Charlie Jones has carved out a place as a solid return man. But he's being challenged a little bit because of what we saw late last year by Keyshawn Williams. Mitch Tinsley won. Dana and I always joke about the Mo Eggers Show Award, the wide receiver on the depth chart who picks up a lot of buzz and people start talking about and kind of comes off the grid, and he becomes almost a part of the everyday conversation. Mitch Tinsley, Kendrick Pryor has shown some things. Dante Myers has had some of the highlight catches of training camp. Noah Thomas, you could say the exact same thing. Obviously, Andre Yoshivas is fending off a challenge from Colby Young. I don't know how much of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins we're going to see tonight. I would be unsurprised if they try to throw one long pass down the field to one of those two guys. I think we'd be all unsurprised if neither guy came close to catching a pass, because Joe Burrow took the field, they called 3 running plays, and all the main guys left. But I do think there's some interesting things happening lower on the depth chart at receiver. Let's be honest, that was sort of a sneaky under-the-radar, maybe not need, but an area that we talked about the Bengals maybe needing to address, being better at the number 3 spot. That was supposed to be Jermaine Burton. It's become Andre Yoshivas. Is it Colby Young by the time we get to the middle of the season? And then how do the spots beneath Andre and Colby, how do those position battles play out? The other piece that's important is the third/nickel corner spot. Handful of spots that I think we spent this offseason wondering, should the Bengals address it? Should they be more aggressive? Swing tackle is one, linebacker is another, and then obviously nickel corner. Jalen Davis, I don't know if he has done anything to make anybody believe that he shouldn't be the leader for that position. But, it's one thing to show it in practice. It's something else to prove it in games. And so we'll see how long he's on the field for. I don't know that any of the other guys who are perhaps in competition for that spot have done anything to distinguish themselves. I think Jasir Taylor has had a relatively quiet camp. Braylon Lux, I think, has had a relatively quiet camp. And we've heard and read more about Josh Newton being in the doghouse than him being able to necessarily do anything. So I'm curious with, I think a lot of us wondering, is that a position they're going to look at addressing on cutdown day, find guys who have been let go by other teams? What does Jalen Davis show us in the first preseason game at a position that I think a lot of felt like the Bengals should be a little bit more aggressive in addressing? We'll see starting tonight. 10 minutes after 4 o'clock, ESPN 1530. There has been something I think really impressive about the last few weeks, and Tony Pike and Austin Elmore touched on this during their show yesterday at the rainy Cincinnati Open up there in Mason, and it's about continuity in messaging and connectivity in messaging. I think one of the things that's been really interesting about listening to some of the new guys talk, and we've been lucky enough to have on Jonathan Allen, and we've had on Brian Cook, obviously players who came from elsewhere. I've listened to Boye Mafe talk about this as well. We talk a lot about the tone being set by Joe Burrow and where his head is and how he feels about the direction of the team. And I feel like it's easy for a lot of the returning players to kind of take his lead. One of the talking points of camp has been the vibe and the urgency and the physicality and the intensity of it, and the fact that this team has a little bit of a collective chip on its shoulder because Zach Taylor has reminded them that they were 6-11 last year. One thing that has stood out to me in listening to and talking with players who weren't here last year is it feels like a lot of those guys have bought in. I know I've said this on a number of occasions that one of the really impressive things about Dexter Lawrence to me was when he got traded on a Saturday, he practiced here on a Monday. And that was at the very beginning of the voluntary portion of the Bengals offseason. Got traded on Saturday, got a physical on Sunday, met with the media on Monday morning, and then when I think he could have been excused and had no obligation, no requirement to be here for that day's practice, was here. And he worked out. And I don't know if he missed one or two of those sessions, but it felt like he was here for almost all of them. And Duke Tobin also talked about this with us. And if you didn't listen to Duke with our show last week, that is available on the iHeartRadio app. I think when Zach Taylor got here in 2019, it was easy to roll your eyes at all the talk of changing the culture. But it really did feel like by the time 2021, 2022 rolled around, like they had the right type of guys. They had the right type of people. I don't think you really had to question who the leaders were. You certainly didn't have to question if this team was being led by anybody on it. Last year felt different. The last couple of years have felt different. The last couple of years it has felt like, especially on defense, like maybe there's got to be somebody who steps up and leads, and that person never really emerged. Feels like they got those sorts of dudes. Dexter Lawrence, Boye Mafe, Brian Cook, Jonathan Allen, also somebody we talked to, uber impressive. And so it feels like they've accomplished a couple of things here. They've gotten guys who have filled specific sort of X's and O's roles that were lacking last year. Guys who could tackle, guys who could cover, guys who could get after the quarterback. But they've also identified guys who can establish a tone and maybe provide the sort of leadership that this team was lacking last year. It also feels like they have been able to acquire guys who, even though they weren't here for 6-11, are pissed off about 6-11. And I don't think that's insignificant by any stretch. Like Duke Tobin talked about that, getting the right kind of guys. It looks like they targeted players who have won. Looks like they have targeted players who are, I think, willing to kind of act like they were here last year, even though they had nothing to do with last year's failures. What does that mean for tonight? Probably absolutely nothing. But it has been, I think it's been pretty significant nonetheless. Excuse me, 4:15, ESPN 1530. Detroit Lions last year went sideways, and injuries were a huge factor. I think after the way the previous two postseasons unfolded for them, I don't know that last year was a huge surprise. Plus, the NFC North was hellacious. We're not going to see most of their main guys tonight, but I think they're kind of an interesting team, and I think our next guest will tap into that. We'll go to Detroit, talk to one of the best in the business at what we do up in Motown. He'll join us when we come back. 4:15. By the way, we do have a phone line. I could throw it out there, 513-749-1530. Also, for what it's worth. And it doesn't look like if you go watch right now on Twitter or YouTube, it doesn't look like I'm in a broadcast booth because up in the front of it, they're preparing for a broadcast. Horde, Lapham, Pike, Wayne Boxmiller. So they were kind enough to accommodate me here, but I'm in the back of the broadcast booth. And if you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, it looks like I'm in a room, like a conference room or something. There's a garbage can behind me. But if you were watching, Taryn, what was that, about 30 minutes ago? Yep. Anthony Munoz popped in and handed me a cigar. That was cool. I don't know what he was doing behind me. I don't know. I didn't even notice him until he tapped me on my shoulder and put a cigar in my hand. So that was, if you were watching, you got a chance to see a pretty damn cool moment for yours truly. All right, let's go to Detroit when we come back. It's R&L Carriers Pregame Sports Talk. We are presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers from Paycor Stadium on ESPN 1530 Cincinnati Sports Station.
Cincinnati's ESPN 1530. Traffic.
From the UC Health Traffic Center, don't wait for answers for a cancer diagnosis. At the UC Cancer Center Rapid Diagnostic Clinic, you can be seen within 2 days. Call 585-UCCC. 71 south of Fields Hurdle accident on both shoulders, and 71 north between Stewart and Kenwood, left lane blocked. Traffic is heavy from Norwood lateral accident on the shoulder 275 between Springfield, Pike, and Winton. We have Mormon south of Millville Avenue to Columbus, blocked with that jackknife semi. Victory Parkway at Lincoln Avenue, a crash. I'm Rick Schrempf with traffic.
The summer sizzle is on, so upgrade your home comfort at Corcoran and Harnest Heating and Air, your trusted local expert Carrier dealer. Get 0% financing for up to 60 months on a new system, plus rebates up to $2,100. Call Corcoran and Harnest today at 513-921-2227.
Need a new roof? Choose a roofer you can count on. Klaus Roofing Systems of Cincinnati. Roof replacement, repair, and skylight installation. Call today for a free estimate, 513-583-6389. Klaus Roofing Systems of Cincinnati. Put a Klaus on your house.
M&P Logistics is now scouting top talent to add to their roster. Got the grit, the grind, and gift of building relationships? We've got the base pay, uncapped commission, and mentorship to help you succeed. Success starts with drive, and M&P Logistics has your roadmap. Apply now at mplogistics.com.
Touchdown! The Holy Grail is your HQ for all the college and NFL games this season. Join ESPN 1530s and Bearcat Journals, Chad Brendel before every Bearcats away game, and Mo Egger, Tony Pike, and Ken Brew before every Bengals home game. They've got every game, so you won't want to miss any of your favorite team's action. It's great food and great action all season long. The Holy Grail is your home for all sports in Cincinnati. The Holy Grail. Your search is over.
Now is the time to convert to geothermal heating and cooling and earn a 30% tax credit before it expires. A Climate Master geothermal heat pump system uses the constant temperature of the earth to produce year-round comfort, slashing your energy bills by as much as 60%. But hurry, the 30% tax credit expires at the end of 2025. Call the geothermal experts at Gehring Heating and Electric at 812-934-6088. That's Gehring at 812-934-6088. And get digging.
There are over 350 BMW centers nationwide. There is only one BMW store.
Visit the BMW store conveniently located 10 minutes north of downtown Cincinnati off I-71 at Stewart Road.
Storm damage, leak, or just want peace of mind? Call Kingdom Built Exteriors for a complimentary, honest roof inspection. We are veteran-owned, faith-driven, and committed to protecting your home. Visit KingdomBuiltExteriors.com. Faith-built, storm strong.
Ken Brew here. This football season, make a day of it at Little Miami Brewing. Catch the game on TVs throughout the brewery. Grab a rotating craft beer and something delicious from the food menu. And enjoy one of the best game day atmospheres anywhere. It's the Kiwanis Club of Old Milford and Little Miami Brewing Oktoberfest, 11 to 11. Fun for the whole family with a kids zone, live music, activities all day long. Little Miami Brewing in Old Milford.
Looking for IT solutions that deliver results? Encore Technologies has you covered. We specialize in secure data management, cloud services, and innovative IT strategies tailored to your business needs. Our team of experts works tirelessly to ensure your technology infrastructure is robust and reliable. Visit Encore.tech to learn more about our comprehensive IT services. Encore Technologies driving your business forward with cutting-edge solutions. Let's hit it out of the park together.
This is Dave Lapper, and you're listening to the home of the Bengals, ESPN 1530.
Minutes after 4, this is ESPN 1530. I'm Mo Egger from Paycor Stadium. It's Arnell Carrier's pregame sports talk presented by Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. By the way, final on the south side of Chicago. Reds hang on to beat the White Sox 9-8. They take the series. Cincinnati is now 5 games out of the last wild card. That helps out the Detroit Tigers, which is one of the teams that our next guest talks about. This guy's one of the best. 97 won the ticket in Detroit. Host Lions Network Radio, our guy Mark Ryan. I think he just got off the air. He's got to be on the air tonight, and so he's squeezing us in, and I can't thank him enough. What's going on?
Mo, I will always make that happen for you, my man. What is good? I got to tell you, I am a proponent of how your head coach handles preseason. I am tired of starting season. I'm tired of it taking a month to get going because no one is really in the groove yet. And I think Zach Taylor rewarding the fans tonight is doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it might just be a take the field and wave and hand the ball off a couple of times, but we will see. Give me an encapsulation. How would you describe the Detroit Lions offseason?
A good offseason. Drew Petzing comes over from Arizona. This is a guy, look, man, they've had the 9th most rushing yards in the NFL over the last 3 years. You have a reworked offensive line, the big acquisition in the offseason, Cade Mays, now injured, a wrist injury. He's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks, but not of the regular season. He'll be back probably after the bye week, probably after 5 games. What I like about this offseason for the Lions, Mo, is that nobody's really talking about them. Yeah. Nobody's really mentioning them among Super Bowl contenders. And the last time that happened, they came one half of football from going to their first Super Bowl ever. They have the easiest schedule in the National Football League. If they can just avoid one position group being completely blown out, as is what's taken place the last 2 years, right? The defensive line in 2024, the secondary in 2025. They've got to be patient and wait to get Kirby Joseph back, Brian Branch back. The secondary has been a big bugaboo for these guys. I think that is the key point of concern, along with getting everyone healthy and accommodated to new positions, new faces, and new places along the offensive line.
So you mentioned Drew Petzing. They had Ben Johnson. Obviously, he's not there. John Morton took over. That didn't work out. What is Drew Petzing's offense expected to look like?
Yes, a lot of under center, a lot of play action. That was square peg, round hole with Kyler Murray. That is exactly the way that Jared Goff wants to play. And when you consider how the players are talking about this offense, look, everybody's happy in the preseason. Everybody's happy at training camp. You've got 32 quote-unquote eventual Super Bowl winners. Everybody's convinced. But the reality is the early returns are that this is an offense that is really going to maximize the strength of the talents of this team, which is immense. You got Penei Sewell moving over to left tackle. You have the highest paid running back in the NFL. You've invested heavily in the wide receiver position. Amon-Ra St. Brown, $30 million plus. Jameson Williams, $29 million plus. 3rd-round pick Isaac Tesla. You guys know as well as anybody what it's like to invest heavily in the wide receiver position. But certainly the weapons are there. Is the offensive line, which ranked 14th by Pro Football Focus a year ago, is it going to be good enough? Are they going to have players step up into roles? And can the secondary hold up? Those are the major questions heading into this season.
What is talking about and covering a team coached by Dan Campbell like?
It's incredibly casual, Mo, and I bet you could tell me a lot about the personality of your city. There's never been a better fit between a coach and a city in terms of the character of the head coach. No frills, no nonsense, no excuses. I mean, those are the hallmark statements everyone says about Detroit, right? Blue collar, so on and so forth. He is a perfect mix for this city. Question is, there's a lot of pressure on these guys this year. There's a lot of pressure on your guy, Zach Taylor. Mo, Dan Campbell, Zach Taylor, who's under more pressure?
Yeah, I think it's Zach. I think it's Zach. 3 years, no playoffs. Burrow in his prime, swapped out defensive coordinators. They've spent money on his defense, so the arrow is pointed at the head coach. What's the dynamic with Dan Campbell?
Yeah, so the dynamic with Dan Campbell is the owner, Sheila Ford Hamp, who has been very supportive, was incredibly disappointed with the performance last year. How could you not be? 2 losses to the Vikings, a loss on Christmas Day to Max Brosmer, and the Vikings, despite the losses to in the position group in the secondary, that fell well short of expectations this year. She met with them in the offseason. There is no sort of gauntlet being laid down like Carly Ursay-Gordon did with the Colts, saying she's going to bring them back 1 year. We don't have that sort of ultimatum, but she did come out and say they know how disappointed I was with the results of last season. So if there isn't, if their feet are not feeling warm from the fire, they darn well should, because to whom much is given, much is expected. This is a team I think that ownership expects to contend this season.
Mark Ryan, 97 won the ticket in Detroit, Lions Network host. If I'm watching this game in the third and fourth quarter, obviously from a Bengals perspective, we're sifting through, back of the depth chart guys. I'm familiar with them. Give me 1 or 2 players I should be watching on Detroit.
Well, first of all, they just added Joshua Dobbs, who's in all those backup QB commercials, right? That tells you a lot about a guy if he's willing to do those. But I think that's great. Luke Altmaier out of Illinois is a quarterback who is really, really trying to make this team. Remember the quarterback Malik Cunningham out of Louisville?
Yeah.
Has turned some heads in camp, as has Ahmed Hassanin on the defensive line. Big end/tackle out of Boise State, are a guy we're going to be keeping an eye on as well. And then Keith Abney III, 5th-round pick out of Arizona State, was one of those guys that you were thrilled to get because he was a top 100 player on most draft boards and was sitting there for a team with dire cornerback need. Remember, Terrion Arnold arrested, indicted, Terrion Arnold released from the Detroit Lions. That's a first-round pick from just 2 years ago. The second-round pick from 2 years ago, Ennis Rakestraw Jr., has also not played a lick. How many teams can afford to get nothing out of their first and second-round pick within the last 3 years? So you're going to be looking for those guys, the younger players, who can step forward and really make an impact on this team this season.
Should be interesting to watch. 2 teams that I know have high hopes. I appreciate the time, Mark. Thanks so much.
Always, Mo. Thanks so much to you as well.
One of the absolute best in our business, Mark Ryan, 97 won the fan, host of the Detroit Lions radio network. Bengals and Lions tonight, 7 o'clock on ESPN 1530. I mentioned at the top of the segment, Reds hang on to win 9-8, wild game in Chicago. We'll put a bow on that. Bad news for Hunter Green, and continue to get you set for Bengals and Lions tonight, which is just about 2.5 hours away. 28 minutes after 4 o'clock. Pregame Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Encore Technologies. Visit encore.tech. This is the Arnell Carriers Pregame Sports Talk Show, presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers on ESPN 1530 Cincinnati Sports Station.
Cincinnati's ESPN 1530. Traffic.
From the UC Health Traffic Center, don't wait for answers for a cancer diagnosis. At the UC Cancer Center Rapid Diagnostic Clinic, you can be seen within 2 days. Call 585-UCCC. 75 southbound after 74. The accident has our right lane blocked. We're looking at 275 west Springfield to Winton with an accident on the left shoulder. 71 north Stewart to Kenwood, left lane blocked with a crash. Mormon between Millville Avenue and Columbus Drive. It's blocked by that jackknife semi. I'm Rick Schrempf with traffic.
Hosting August Outdoors? Rude. Beat the heat with an AC from Rude. Visit RudeCincinnati.com. RUUD Cincinnati.com.
Tired of used car stress? Kelsey Chevrolet makes it easy. Our peace of mind promise means fair family pricing, a hassle-free live market pricing approach, lifetime powertrain protection, and guaranteed credit approval. Pre-owned done right at Kelsey Chevrolet. We drive peace of mind.
It's back to school season, and AE Door and Window is offering extra credit. All through August, you can get 0 down, 0 interest for 2 years. Plus, save up to 15% off Provia entry doors, storm doors, and select Clopay garage doors. Save up to 20% off windows by Pella and Provia. And get up to $150 off a next-generation LiftMaster opener. Combine and save for another 5% off your total order. Study up on these savings at aeDoorsales.com.
We sell the best and service the rest. AE.
Hi, this is Trevor Jones with Robert Jones Plumbing, the world's friendliest plumbers. Family owned and operated for 40 years. Give us a call for all your plumbing needs, whether drain repairs, water leaks, or sewer repair. That's Robert Jones Plumbing, 513-353-2230.
R&L Carriers has immediate career opportunities nationwide. Looking for a career in the transportation and logistics industry? R&L Carriers has openings for local and over-the-road drivers, freight handlers, mechanics, clerical, and more. Visit careers.rlc.com or call 866-200-1600 to start your rewarding career today. Enjoy perks such as company-owned resorts exclusively for our employees, full-time benefits, and top competitive pay. Be a part of a team that is a leader in the logistics industry. Visit R&L Carriers on careers.rlc.com or call 866-200-1600.
This football season, your hometown nonprofit St. Vincent de Paul is asking you to make a play that matters. Donate your old vehicle and help provide food, shelter, and medicine to neighbors in need. Call 421-CARE for free pickup. St. Vincent de Paul. Neighbors helping neighbors all season long.
Bill Cunningham here for Tri-State Gastro in Northern Kentucky. Colon cancer is preventable. The doctors and staff at Tri-State Gastro make screenings easy and comfortable. Being an independent practice, they can possibly save you thousands of dollars and your life. Visit tristategastro.net and schedule your visit today.
Hey, it's Mo Egger. Schools are back. So are school injuries, sports, playgrounds, horsing around. It's important to remember Ortho Cincy Orthopedic Urgent Care. Walk-ins are always welcome, and Ortho Cincy Orthopedic Urgent Care has extended evening and Saturday hours. Go to orthocincy.com.
Don't let a cast ruin your summer. With an Ortho Heal waterproof cast, you can swim, shower, and stay active while you heal. Visit orthohealwaterproofcast.com and recover in comfort.
Keep your summer fun going in the totally redesigned, totally hybrid Toyota RAV4. Now through August 31st, lease a new 26 RAV4 LE all-wheel drive for $329 a month for 36 months with $39.99 due at signing for a contract cost of $15,514. Excludes all applicable taxes and government fees with approved credit through TFS. Price will vary based on accessories. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
ESPN 1530, Cincinnati's sports station.
R&L Carriers pregame sports talk presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Sports headlines, service of Kelsey Chevrolet. I'm in the broadcast booth here at Paycor Stadium watching the two I don't know if they're additions. Joe and 19 have been flagship home of the Bengals on TV for a while, but watching these two new additions with their expanded roles talk with each other, it's some. Look at they're on camera. It's unbelievable. You're the background, yeah. Yeah, there they are. There's Tony. Joe. Tony says he's nervous for tonight. Are you nervous? You're nervous for what? Something new. Yeah. This is good. This is good radio. Yes. No. You're the dean of Cincinnati sportscasters. I told the audience yesterday, I grew up watching you, and there's no doubt in my mind it's going to be. The 3 to 6 spot on Fridays has always been better than Monday through Thursday. So it's now even better. Legends. Good. Thanks. Sports headlines are a service of Kelsey Chevrolet, home of lifetime powertrain protection and guaranteed credit approval from their family to yours for life. KelseyChef.com. Bengals and Lions tonight at 7 o'clock. You heard our last guest, Mark Ryan, talk about the starters being expected to play for Cincinnati. We'll see how extensive that is. I have a feeling like you're going to see Dexter Lawrence take like 2 snaps and kind of throw up deuces and call it a night. We will see. Wayne Boxmiller countdown to kickoff at 5:30. The game with Dan, Lapp, and Tony at 7 o'clock. The Reds win 9-8 over the Chicago White Sox. Cincinnati takes the series. They've now pulled to within 5 games of the wild card. Cincinnati, this was a kind of a crazy game. Not a great outing for Andrew Abbott. They scored him some runs early, 3 in the first. Homers off the bats of Sal Stewart and Eugenio Suarez. Chicago took a 4-3 lead, but the Reds kept hitting. Tyler Stevenson went deep, and then the Reds had to hold off a late Chicago charge. We're going to hear from Sal Stewart in just a second to talk about the benches clearing incident in the 3rd inning in just a second. Reds are home tomorrow. Miami Marlins in town. Hunter Green, Tommy John surgery, done for all of 2026, which we knew, also done in all likelihood for all of 2027. Florence Yalls will host Lake Erie tonight. College football news, UC news more specifically. Jason Kelce has been selected for the James P. Kelly Athletics Hall of Fame at the University of Cincinnati. Loaded class that includes, among others, Connor Barwin and Bob Huggins. And when I say among others, many, many others, that induction ceremony will take place on Friday, October the 23rd. Jason Kelce goes from walk-on to Hall of Famer. And this ain't going to be the last Hall of Fame he's inducted into. Cincinnati Open, they're playing tennis in Mason. Katie McNally, local product, will take on McCartney Kessler later this evening. The ball game itself, and we got a lot of Bengal stuff to get to, but the ball game itself, there was a benches clearing incident in the 3rd inning, top of the 3rd inning today, when Chicago starter Davis Martin hit Sal Stewart, and he hit him in the head. Stewart took exception to it, umbrage, and started motioning toward the mound, started walking toward the mound, started yelling at Davis Martin. The pitch prior was up and in, went to the backstop. Stewart kind of looked at him. For what it's worth, in the 1st inning, Stewart hit a bomb, 419-foot home run. And after he brushed Stewart back, Martin was trying to motion to Stewart that, hey, I didn't mean anything by it. And then he drilled him on the very next pitch. Here's Sal Stewart talking about the incident after the game.
Can you take us through the 3rd hit by the pitch, how it unfolded in your eyes?
I don't know. Can't really tell you. Just kind of black out a little bit when they go up at the head, you know. It happens, maybe. I'm not too sure. Can't really tell you, but I know he apologized after the first one, and, things happen. Maybe it slipped. But then the very next pitch just came right back at my face. So more than anything, it was just kind of scary moment, and, yeah.
What was said in that exchange? It was clearly heated. What was said there, and what did it say to see the support of your teammates to get up and defend you like that?
You could see what was said. I mean, it was in the heat of the moment. I'm happy that my team was there. I don't want to make this a big deal, man. I really don't. When you play 162 games, a lot of things happen. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it's scary when 2 balls are coming up and in. So that's all I have to say about it.
The best way to answer that is what you did in your next at-bat.
Yeah, I guess so.
Did you think anything had to do with that 1st inning?
I don't think so. I mean, I didn't do nothing, so I don't think so. No, I don't know.
So can you just talk about winning today's game and then, of course, taking this series?
That's the question I want to hear. Good win, good series win. I'm happy with our guys. It was a good game. They're a good team, and it was a great series win.
All right, there's Sal Stewart with reporters after the ball game in Chicago, and it was mentioned what he did in his next at-bat. What he did in his next at-bat was drive in the tying and go-ahead run in the 4th inning with a single that scored Key Brian Hayes, and I'm sorry, it gave the Reds a lead. They were already tied. Sal Stewart got to hit his next at bat. Reds took the lead, never relinquished it. Yes, his next at bat he came up and got the job done. Sal understands how this works. You come after the pitcher, the bench is empty. Those are the questions you're going to get. I think in that instance, he handled the questions diplomatically. I've never been hit in the head by a major league pitcher's pitch. I would imagine that it doesn't feel great. I would imagine it's got to be a little scary. And especially when you hit a home run in the first inning and then your next at bat, the previous pitch, comes in at you and sails to the backstop. And then you get hit in the head. Like, I don't know, man. I think it's a very human reaction to go basically like WTF. He didn't run out. He didn't come out and pummel the dude. He didn't start a fight, but I think a lot of hitters in that set of circumstances probably would have done exactly what Sal did. He didn't get ejected. Davis Martin did. Sal Stewart's team won the game. Davis Martin's didn't. Sal Stewart is going to win the National League Rookie of the Year. I don't know if Davis Martin's ever going to win an award, but nonetheless, Reds win the ball game 9-8. Again, 5 games out of the last wild card spot. 20 minutes away from 5 o'clock. We're broadcasting from Paycor Stadium today. It is a little cloudier than it has been for much of the afternoon, and unfortunately, with the weather we have been having, and my wife and I have been lucky. Our power has never gone out at our house, but we know folks who are still without power. Hopefully, that's not you. But I feel like ever since Friday, we've had to keep one eye on the weather while we're talking about sports. And I don't know. My show's done at 5:30. I don't know that is going to change all that dramatically tonight. We will see. Nonetheless, Bengals and Lions set to start at 7 o'clock with countdown to kickoff coming your way at 5:30. 19 minutes away from 5 o'clock, we talk with Tony Pike. Training camp update. He joins us next on ESPN 1530 Cincinnati Sports Station.
Cincinnati's ESPN 1530. Traffic.
From the UC Health Traffic Center, don't wait for answers for a cancer diagnosis. At the UC Cancer Center Rapid Diagnostic Clinic, you can be seen within 2 days. Call 585-UC-ECC. 75 southbound after 74. The accident has our right lane blocked. We're looking at 275 west Springfield to Winton with an accident on the left shoulder. 71 north Stewart to Kenwood, left lane blocked with a crash. Mormon between Millville Avenue and Columbus Drive. It's blocked by that jackknife semi. I'm Rick Schrempf with traffic.
Summer's a great time to upgrade with Gilkey Windows. For a limited time, we're offering buy one, get one 40% off. That's buy one window or door, getting the next at 40% off. Give us a call today at 877-7-GILKEY. That's 877-7-GILKEY.
This August, pack a little life-saving into your summer with Hawksworth Blood Center. Donate blood or platelets and receive an exclusive Hawksworth backpack cooler. Your donation helps save local lives every day. Schedule yours at hawksworth.org. Hawksworth Blood Center, saving lives close to home.
Football is back. Let's get ready to rule the jungle when the Bengals welcome the Detroit Lions to Paycor Stadium on Thursday night, August 13th.
Preseason pricing offers a great chance for you, your friends, and family to experience the jungle and get an early look at this exciting 2026 Bengals team.
Good seats are still available for this Thursday night game. Grab yours at Bengals.com/tickets. The Bengals-Lions game is presented by CareSource.
When employers like iHeart and Cintas choose Delta Dental of Ohio, employees can access top-quality care from a large nationwide network of dentists and obtain services from a leading provider of dental benefits. Delta Dental, building healthy, smart, vibrant communities. Go to deltadentaloh.com.
From the Durbin Cooling Tempstar Weather Center, here's your forecast.
It's been a nice brief break from downpours and storms, but that won't last for long. Chances for rain will start to sneak back in this evening into the overnight hours. Expect widespread showers and downpours with the chance for flooding to become an issue again as we move throughout our entire Friday. That's your 9 First Warning forecast. I'm meteorologist Cameron Harden.
This report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
If you're headed to the Bengals preseason game this week, remember, Bengals games need Skyline. Getting your Conies at the game, bringing some to a tailgate, or simply hitting up your neighborhood Skyline for a pregame meal. Skyline is the official chili of the Cincinnati Bengals.
When I beat the guys in my fantasy league, text wasn't enough. I used Smile Tunes to create a victory ballad specifically naming everyone I defeated. It was the most beautiful way to be a terrible winner. Visit SmileTunes.com and claim your ultimate victory soundtrack.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
Don't just go back to school. Accelerate your career with a business degree from Thomas More University. Our accelerated 100% online degrees will give you the skills you need to get ahead and stay there. Visit thomasmore.edu to learn more.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. When dining out or shopping at the grocery store, ask for sustainable seafood. By choosing sustainable seafood, you can help reduce overfishing, bycatch, loss of top predators, illegal fishing, and other harmful environmental impacts. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Bengals fans, the jungle awaits. Now's the time to join the Bengals season ticket wait list.
Claim your place on the wait list for just $150 per seat. You'll get first priority to purchase Bengals season tickets when they become available. Plus, get first access to single game tickets and playoff tickets while supplies last.
Some things are worth the wait. Join the season ticket wait list today and rule the jungle with us. Visit Bengals.com or call the Bengals ticket hotline at 513-621-8383.
ESPN 1530 with the latest from Bengals training camp. Brought to you by Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg on your official home of the Cincinnati Bengals. ESPN 1530.
Tony, we had a pretty offensive-heavy discussion about an hour ago talking about tonight's game, Bengals and Lions. Now let's talk about some things on defense. I'm going to start here. So the Bengals have a lot of defensive linemen that we're really excited about. Pass rush is king. But at the bottom end of the depth chart, they either have a rookie like Landon Robinson or players who are hanging on and just trying to make the team and show that in their third year they can contribute, in guys like Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson. Yes, we want to see the new guys up front. Dexter Lawrence is going to play a handful of plays tonight. Boye Mafe.
I don't need to see him much.
I'm good. I am curious, like, for those dudes at the bottom end of the chart at that position, what do we see?
Yeah, and I think we separated, instead of just like the whole defensive line, the interior of the defensive line. As you mentioned, like, it'll be great to see Boye Mafe out there. It'll be great to see Cassius Howell out there. I think Cedric Johnson has an opportunity to get some key reps in a game like tonight. But you mentioned it. So much talk about Dexter Lawrence. You and I have been blown away with Jonathan Allen and the chance to talk to him when B.J. Hill gets healthy. After that, T.J. Slayton has flashed multiple times at training camp. But does Chris Jenkins or McKinley Jackson make a step? Or does Landon Robinson have a chance to supplant one or both of them on the depth chart? I mean, it's an opportunity when you look at the draft class as a whole that you could realistically see every draft pick they made with a chance to make the roster.
Supplant. Will you use that on the radio network tonight?
I could try.
Okay, see if you can work that in for me.
I could see if I could get that in.
Other thing for me on defense is very simple. Barrett Carter, Demetrius Knight have looked fine, but they haven't had to tackle anybody. Last year, they had a hard time tackling anybody. So tonight, do they tackle anybody?
It's a great question. And, you know, it's we had Joe Daneman on the show earlier in the week, and he described Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter as kind of like the Matt McClain preseason. Right? Matt McClain,
509.
Dominated.
Yes.
And you thought, okay, he's going to make the jump. To you and I, we've both seen it. Barrett Carter and especially Demetrius Knight have looked great.
Yes.
Great. Can they now make the tackle?
Right.
Because they couldn't last year.
Finish the play. Yes.
Can they finish the play? And if so, then you move on and you start to ask, okay, now that position group feels solidified. Where do you look to next on defense?
All right, Tony, awesome stuff. Tony has the call with Dan Horde and Dave Lapham tonight. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage from the Bengals Radio Network begins with countdown to kickoff in just about 40 minutes. I'm Mo Egger. This is the Arnell Carriers pregame sports talk presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Glad you're with us this afternoon as we get set for the Bengals and Lions tonight. We are at Paycor Stadium where it is overcast but not raining, and that is a good thing. We played some audio before of Sal Stewart talking about the incident in the third inning where he got hit in the head. Davis Martin got chucked out of the game. Reds did hang on to win the ball game 9-8. They inch slightly closer in the wild card hunt, now 5 games behind. Here's Terry Francona meeting with reporters after today's Cincinnati victory.
How's your heart after that one? That was kind of hold on.
That was just how we drew it up. That was a lot going on there, but we hung on, and it would have been a really tough loss, but it's not. Yeah. So it's a good win.
Is Pagan, was he not available there in the ninth?
He's got some hand soreness, and we're going to get him looked at tomorrow morning. And he really wanted to pitch. I got a hard time sending him out there unless we're going to get him looked at in the morning. And if he checks out, good, but just want to make sure he's okay.
Earlier on in the game, Sal gets hit by a pitch. Have you, in your history, have you known that kind of wakes a team up a little bit?
I certainly hope so, because I thought that was extremely blatant, and you can't throw 2 balls like that head high. You kill somebody. I thought that was terrible.
How about the conditions today? One, are you surprised you got the game in, moved it up an hour, which certainly helped, but it was a grinded out from both sides, was it not?
Yeah, but you know what? Both teams played, and both teams pitching staff had some troubles, but we got the game in. What I care about is we won, and now we can go home and see if we can dodge some more rain.
Terry Francona after the game with Jim Day. We stole that from Reds TV. So a couple of things you heard him mention. Emilio Pagan dealing with hand soreness. He didn't pitch the 9th inning. Julian Garcia did. Picked up his second big league save. Reds win the ball game 9-8. It was a day where Brock Burke, TJ Antone, Luis May, Sam Maul, Pierce Johnson, and Garcia each had to pitch. Not a very good outing for Andrew Abbott, who couldn't get out of the 5th inning. On the Sal Stewart incident, maybe you have seen it, maybe you have not. Sal took exception. The pitch before the one that hit him sailed behind him and hit the backstop. Stewart then got dinged in the head. And, Terry Francona is obviously always going to have his guys back. This is a dude who's been in the game for a very long time. This is a beloved figure in the sport. You may have issues with him as a manager. I don't know that he is the kind of guy who's going to call something blatant if he doesn't genuinely believe that it is. And if Terry Francona says that something like that is blatant, I'm on Terry Francona's side. Like, he's been a big league manager for a very long time. He's been in this game for a very long time. That is a skipper who, if he says, yeah, we think that was blatant, we think that was intentional, I know these things turn into as it's blatant. It probably was. If there's anybody in the sport who knows, it's him, and he's been the manager now for nearly 2 full seasons. I don't know that I've ever heard him accuse anybody on the other team of trying to injure one of his own guys. And frankly, when you throw at somebody, you're trying to injure them. I know there's going to be many who disagree, who say that, hitting guys is a part of the game. I don't think it has to be. And Sal Stewart didn't do anything in the first inning when he hit his home run. 419-foot blast. Did not do anything in the first inning to warrant being thrown at. And if you're going to throw at a guy, don't throw at his head. He got dinged in the head. I think with the way the entire at-bat went down, it is extraordinarily easy to conclude that the pitcher in question here, Davis Martin, was trying to hit Sal Stewart. So maybe there's a suspension. We will see. Reds and White Sox obviously aren't playing against each other the rest of the season. Cincinnati will host the Miami Marlins tomorrow night. It is 7 away from 5 o'clock. Meanwhile, we're here at Paycor Stadium. The Bengals getting set to host the Detroit Lions. And it's interesting. We were talking 30 minutes ago with Mark Ryan from Detroit, who talked about Dan Campbell and the pressure on him. Dan Campbell's been there for a while, has sort of molded the team in his image, has had some wonderful regular season success. They've had some extraordinarily frustrating and heartbreaking losses. It feels like maybe the hot seat isn't the right verbiage, but it feels like there's a little pressure on him, given how long he's been there at this point. There's a lot of themes to this season for the Bengals. There have been a lot of themes to training camp. There are some themes tonight. But as the next month unfolds, I think that's the one that we're going to be talking about as much as any, and that's a season where Zach Taylor, I think for the first time, you conclude is coaching for the job. Now, what does that look like? Do they have to win the Super Bowl? I'm going to guess the answer is no. But I'm also going to guess. And concluding that any Bengals head coach is on his way out if the team doesn't meet expectations, that's a little bit of a fool's errand, as my dad used to say. But I think it's reasonable to assume that there's at least a high probability of the Bengals looking for a new head coach if they're on the outside of the playoff picture looking in, and certainly if they have a losing record. You just, as a head coach, don't get to swap out coordinators that many times. You don't get to swap out assistant coaches that many times. And you really don't get a chance to miss the postseason or waste that many years of a quarterback's prime the way Zach Taylor has wasted 3 years of it. Now, I put that on Zach Taylor because it's a conversation about him. Bengals have missed the postseason the last 3 years, and there's a lot of reasons, and many of them are independent of coaching. But I think as people talk about the Bengals around the NFL, that's going to be the storyline they focus on. More so than last year. More so maybe than at any point during his tenure. And I also believe, like, as much as maybe you didn't want the Bengals to bring Zach Taylor back, maybe their patience with head coaches is frustrating to you and exasperating. It's not like they haven't talked about his future before. It's not like they haven't at least internally discussed whether it's time to move on before. This is a season where I think the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals is coaching with as much pressure as any has coached with in quite a while. It is 4 minutes away from 5 o'clock. Countdown to kickoff is coming up in just about 35 minutes. Wayne Boxmiller, who is delivering cookies to me as we speak, has countdown to kickoff. Dan Horde, Dave Lapham, and Tony Pike, who this evening will be making his Bengals Radio Network debut here at Paycor Stadium. They'll have the Bengals and Lions. And don't forget, after the game, Austin Elmore will have post-game sports talk all the way until 1:30 on ESPN 1530 Cincinnati Sports Station.
Smoke Justice is just a block and a bridge from the stadium in Covington. Video walls bring your favorite team to life on game days. Smoked meats and the largest selection of bourbons make Smoke Justice your football headquarters. Trust us, your senses will thank you. Smoke Justice at Roebling Point in Covington.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season is heating up, and it all comes down to this. The Big 3 playoffs are coming to Dallas, Texas. The 4 best teams in the Big 3 battle it out for a spot in the championship. The action starts with the legendary Big 3 Celebrity Game. 3 games of the most physical, competitive, and nonstop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET. Presented by iHeart. Yay! In this edition.
ESPN's Dan Orlovsky.
Ease for Fernando Mendoza. Ease getting in and out of the huddle, something that he did not do in college. Ease at the line of scrimmage, handling all the formations, the shifts, the motions that Clint Kubiak is going to put him under. The next step would be for me, if it doesn't go great, there's a lack of comfort in it. How does he handle that? What's his poise like?
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes won't play Saturday as he continues to make his way back from knee surgery. Bills QB Josh Allen to play Saturday versus Carolina in the first game ever played at the team's new stadium. The Rams expect receiver Puka Nacua, who's dealing with groin soreness, to return to practice next week. Baseball, Caleb Durbin's grand slam is up the Red Sox lead to 5-0 on the Blue Jays top 8. Boston trying to snap a 5-game losing streak.
If you run a small business, you've got to try Gusto. Get unlimited payroll runs and get your payroll taxes filed automatically. Offer health insurance, 401k, and more. Get started for free at gusto.com.
This is where the orange and black play.
Fight for the goal line. Touchdown. Bengals.
WLW. WCKY, Cincinnati.
Seg here for my friends at Vonderhaar Fireplace Masonry and Roofing. Vonderhaar has been walking on Cincinnati roofs for over 35 years. Call Vonderhaar today at 242-1110 for your fireplace, masonry, and roofing needs, or online at vonderhaar.com. Their service is over the top. Vonderhaar.com.
Beat the back-to-school blues with a $3 discount to Lego Jurassic World, the exhibition at Cincinnati Museum Center. Experience over 50 large-scale dinosaurs and amazing interactive adventures. Save $3 off each ticket when you visit this August. Purchase tickets at cincymuseum.org.
This isn't another chili parlor with a map full of dots. It's Izzy's, Cincinnati, Reuben Royalty, now in Monroe. Same legend, same obsession, new doors. Izzy's, Monroe. Come hungry, leave converted.
Hey, Cincy fans, just because you're not in the stands doesn't mean you have to miss out on the football action at Belterra Park, Cincinnati. Watch the game with great eats at Stadium Sports Bar or from your seat at over 1,000 games. Plus, with live and simulcast horse racing, the action never stops at Belterra Park in Cincinnati. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call the Ohio Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-589-9966.
Hosting August Outdoors? Rude. Beat the heat with an AC from Rude. Visit RudeCincinnati.com. RUUD Cincinnati.com.
Can everyone bring a chair? Yeah, let's not do that again. It's time to upgrade the draft party to Oakley Greens. With 2 bars, 46 TVs, private areas with space for leagues of any size, hosting this year's draft party's never been easier. Book at oakleygreens.com.
This is ESPN 1530, Cincinnati's sports station.
This is the R&L Carriers pregame sports talk, presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Pregame sports talk is brought to you by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. AE Door and Window Company. They sell the best and service the rest. Encore Technologies. Visit encore.tech. Your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Visit toyota.com for all Toyota offers. Toyota, let's go places. And by R&L Carriers. Visit rlc.com and make R&L Carriers your global transportation provider. Now, pregame sports talk.
Good afternoon. I'm Mo Egger, broadcasting from Paycor Stadium, 4 minutes after 5 o'clock. This is the R&L Carriers pregame sports talk. We are presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. We are closing in on kickoff as we get set for the Bengals and Lions in the preseason opener for both teams. Countdown to kickoff with Wayne Boxmiller comes your way at 5:30. And then Dan Horde and Dave Lapham will be joined by Tony Pike for the game at 7 p.m. Don't forget, after the game, Austin Elmore has post-game sports talk all the way until 1:30 in the morning. We are coming up on 2 hours away from kickoff and the first game of the preseason. And that means we got to thank AE Door and Window. 2 hours away from kickoff, AE Door and Window Company. They sell the best and service the rest. Our thanks to Adam Weber for his continued support of the Bengals all these many years. Weather has obviously been a topic of conversation throughout Greater Cincinnati, and hopefully either your power is on, or if you're among those still waiting, your power is turned on here very, very shortly. If you've had any storm damage, hopefully that has been minimal. So we've had to pay attention to the weather for a lot of different reasons, and we had to pay attention to the weather on Friday for the open practice here inside the stadium. Had to pay attention to the weather for the final training camp practice before the preseason started on Tuesday. Right now, it is overcast. The sun is not out. It is cloudy, but it is not very windy, and I'm not seeing anything. I am not one of these folks that will look at weather radar and pretend that I know really what I'm looking at. But it seems like we got a pretty decent chance to have a night that is free and clear of any weather issues. So that is a good thing. Will also be a good thing if the Bengals can get off the field with no major injuries. And look, that to me is among the many reasons why the vibes right now around the Bengals seem so good is they've gotten through the first couple of weeks of training camp, and there hasn't been a catastrophic injury. Now, there's been some things. Obviously, Shamar Stewart still waiting on a timeline for his return. B.J. Hill started the season on the PUP list. Handful of guys not going to play tonight. Dax Hill's been dealing with a soft tissue issue. Same for Brian Cook. But if you look around the NFL, and every single day I go to ProFootballTalk.com or I'll look at the main NFL page at ESPN.com, and you're seeing a story about an injury that might not completely derail a team season, but certainly is unhelpful. So far, the injury news for the Bengals has been really good. This was an offseason that wasn't dominated by us talking about a major player returning from an injury, and that's apologies to Eric Gall, who's obviously coming back from an injury that cost him his entire 2025 season. So this is a long-winded way of me saying, like, first and foremost, I watch these preseason games through a lens of let's make sure the vibes don't change because of a major injury. Joe Burrow is going to play tonight. Jamar Chase is going to play tonight. T. Higgins is going to go. We're going to see Dexter Lawrence at least for a little bit. I know we have spent a lot of time in recent years talking about the value of playing in the preseason and maybe the necessity of having the guys who matter the most play in the preseason because of all of these slow starts the Bengals have gotten off to in recent years. I would be okay if the main guys didn't play. I'll be holding my breath as they do, but that's storyline number one for tonight and for these next three preseason games. What happens in them that sort of dumps cold water all over the positive vibes emanating from Bengals training camp? Let's talk about some storylines for the game this evening. This has been an offseason that's been all about really one thing. It's been about the defense. And the theme in training camp, that's carried over. Most days, the defense has been ahead. Every day, the defense has been competitive. And on some days, the defense has been dominant. What does that tell us about how good they're going to be once the real games start? Maybe not much, but maybe we get a little glimpse into what this team's defense can do and how much better it is compared to last year. That starts with tackling. So let's take a look at tonight's Player Spotlight, brought to you by Furniture Fair. Get the guaranteed low price or it's free at Furniture Fair. Let's put Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight in the spotlight because Bengals made changes up front. We know who they are. Boye Mafe, Dexter Lawrence, Jonathan Allen, drafting Cassius Howell, etc. Made changes in the secondary. Brian Cook, obviously a huge acquisition. I think a sneaky good acquisition, by the way, is Kyle Duggar, exactly the kind of player I wish they would have had last year. But they let linebacker go untouched. What was the big issue with linebacker play last year? Missed tackles. Barrett Carter, Demetrius Knight combined for 34 last season. That's 2 a game from your starting linebackers. Both had a missed tackle rate that had made them among the worst in the NFL. Now, so far during training camp, both have played pretty well. Barrett Carter's been used on some blitz packages. Demetrius Knight has been really good in coverage. but neither guy has been asked to bring anybody to the ground. Tonight, let's see if those guys can bring people to the ground. Because for all of the improvements they've made and all the talk of the Bengals having a defense that's not just slightly better this year, but significantly better, none of it amounts to anything if the Bengals aren't better at tackling. Do we see that tonight? Key for any preseason game, and the Detroit Lions aren't expected to play anybody of note, so we're going to see a lot of 2s and 3s from Detroit. We're going to see a lot of 2s and 3s from the Bengals, and so much has been made of the roster, the quality of the roster, the upgrades. Joe Burrow has equated this team's roster to 2022. A lot of outsiders have said this is the best Bengals roster since that last year where the Bengals made the postseason and advanced to the AFC Championship game. But really what makes up a quality roster is depth. So let's look at that tonight. This is probably the best offensive line to start the season that Joe Burrow has ever played behind. But one of the frustrating things about last year felt like the Bengals wasted really good offensive line health. And year to year, that tends to not carry over. So what do we learn tonight about the Bengals offensive line backups? Brian Parker, Cody Ford. We're not going to see Connor Lew tonight, but as the offseason or the preseason unfolds, we'll learn a little bit more about him. Let's face it, for as productive as the Bengals were in the offseason, a lot of us wondered, could they have done a little bit more specifically at swing tackle? Does tonight do anything to change that conversation, or does tonight do something to kind of amplify that conversation? We talk about depth. Up front, the Bengals should be dramatically better. Dexter Lawrence, Jonathan Allen, Boye Mafe. Cassius Howell has shown more than glimpses in training camp of things that should make you excited, but they've also got some guys that on the interior of that defensive line have a lot to prove. Landon Robinson has been talked about a lot because he went to Navy. He felt like he was kind of earmarked for the Bengals weeks before the draft even unfolded, but he's going to get a chance tonight in an NFL game to prove that, the 7th round pick should stay. Chris Jenkins so far has been a disappointment as a former 2nd round pick. McKinley Jackson, same thing, as a former 4th round pick. We talk about that position group and how deep it is. I don't know that we talk as much about the guys lower on the depth chart. What do we see from those players tonight? What do we see from some of the guys in the secondary? And then I'll switch it back to offense here very quickly. The Bengals at wide receiver have been very interesting so far here during training camp. Andre Yoshivas has had some days where it's felt like they've made a point to throw him the football, and he's caught it. He's also had some days, one in particular, where it felt like he had a hard time hanging on to it. Does he have an easy time hanging on to his spot as the team's number 3 wide receiver? Can he hold off a challenge from Colby Young? Tony Pike and I have broadcast from all but 2 Bengals training camp practices. And among the wide receivers, the guy who every day, and I'm taking Jamar Chase and T. Higgins out of the equation for a second, the guy who almost every day has stood out for making a play has been Colby Young. It feels like they have something there. Can Colby Young push Andre Yoshivas? And then what happens in the competition for the return man spot? Charlie Jones, we know how good of a return guy he's been. Keyshawn Williams, we certainly saw glimpses from him late last season of what he's capable of doing. Can Mitch Tinsley have the sort of preseason we saw him have last year? What about Kendrick Pryor? And then if you've followed at all what's been happening during training camp, you have either read or heard the name Dante Myers, and you have read and heard the name Noah Thomas. Those guys have made plays. It's one thing to make plays in a practice setting. It's something else to make plays in a game setting. They will have opportunities tonight. 13 minutes after 5 o'clock, R&L Carriers pregame sports talk presented by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. I mentioned that Tony and I have been broadcasting from Bengals training camp every single day, and you'll hear from Tony in just about 10 minutes, shortly before he makes his Bengals Radio Network broadcasting debut. We have had an opportunity to talk to T. Higgins, Jonathan Allen, who was terrific, Brian Cook, who was awesome, Jordan Battle, who's a player. Talk about a guy who has a lot to prove. Jordan Battle at safety has a lot to prove. Chase Brown joined our show, We had an extended conversation with Duke Tobin last Friday as well. If you missed any of those conversations, just search Mo Egger on the iHeartRadio app. You could also search for ESPN 1530 on the iHeartRadio app, and you can listen to them. I don't know specifically what the Bengals plan on doing offensively with Joe Burrow tonight. T. Higgins is going to play. Jamar Chase is going to play. We've seen Joe Burrow play in the preseason and play extensively, as he did last year against Philadelphia and Washington. We've also seen Joe Burrow play in the preseason where it's a couple of handoffs and a quick screen pass, and he's out of the game. One of the things that's been interesting about the Bengals during training camp has been that the way they play offense, they're trying to evolve by having Joe play under center a little bit more frequently, by having him operate offensively and operate at quarterback in ways that he's really not used to, in an effort to, keep him healthier, maybe make the offensive line's job a little bit easier, make them a more effective running team, and maybe make them a team that runs the ball more frequently. I am sort of curious tonight, is there any sort of wrinkle we see in a setting where you typically expect the offense to be kind of vanilla? If you listen to Zach Taylor this week, I think the expectation is vanilla, but I'm curious as to whether or not we see one of those wrinkles tonight. There's also something else about Joe Burrow this evening, and again, he may not throw a pass. He may throw a pass, and it's a quick 4-yard dump off, and he leaves the field. Who knows? But Joe Burrow gets talked about a lot. Certainly gets talked about a lot here. And if you follow, any amount of national NFL coverage or watch those shows on ESPN and the like where they yell at each other about sports, if you listen to ESPN radio, Joe Burrow gets talked about a lot. And he gets talked about a lot for, reasons that I think we all understand, like, how is Joe doing? How's his relationship with the team? Is he going to ask to be traded? Oh, you and I know those things kind of dominate the discourse, right? There's ever since before Joe was drafted by the Bengals, you've had people who have wondered, is he ultimately going to try to leave Cincinnati? And we did our fair share toward the end of last season of psychoanalysis and trying to figure out where Joe's head is. And I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about Joe Burrow for reasons that have nothing to do with how good he is. And in fact, it's interesting. Mike Sando, who is a terrific NFL writer for The Athletic, every year separates NFL quarterbacks into various tiers. And he does this not arbitrarily, not on his own, but he does this based on feedback from NFL executives and coaches. Joe Burrow, among NFL executives and coaches, was still a tier 1 quarterback. And I would imagine you would agree. Certainly, if you're a Bengals fan, maybe your thinking is a little bit skewed. I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL as far as I'm concerned, and him not playing half the season last year doesn't dissuade me at all from feeling that way. But it is interesting when he was ranked as a tier 1 QB. I had folks who asked me in other markets, other cities, like, really? Are you surprised? And I go, no, because I know how good he is. I think it would be awesome tonight if after an offseason where Joe has been talked about for a lot of different reasons, whether it be wondering if he's going to ask to be traded. There was a segment, and I didn't watch it. I saw the tweet linking to it. I'm exasperated with content that related to Joe trying to leave or wanting to leave. But the folks were wondering if Joe is going to be the quarterback of the LA Rams in 2027. I feel like we talk about Joe Burrow for all those reasons. I feel like we talk about him for reasons that have, more to do with where he's going during the offseason and what he's wearing and maybe who he's dating. Tonight, it would be awesome. Maybe for just a play, maybe for just a throw, maybe for an entire series. I think it'd be awesome if Joe Burrow could send a little bit of a message. And the message being, dude, talk about me for how good I am. Because we're only a season removed from him having maybe the greatest single season statistically of any quarterback in the history of the franchise. We talk a lot about him being hurt. And that, that comes with the territory. It's like Hunter Green. When you're hurt all the time, we talk about how you're hurt all the time. I think it'd be awesome if tonight, and I don't know that we're going to get a crack at this, I think it'd be awesome if tonight, maybe it's a throw, maybe it's a touchdown pass, Maybe it's one moment, maybe it's a drive or two where he delivers a message, guys, I'm still really, really good. And yes, I'm still a tier 1 quarterback. We'll see. That to me, if he's going to play, and I'm among those who would be okay if he didn't, but if he's going to play, why not send a message while you're playing? 19 minutes after 5 o'clock. Tony Pike in just a few minutes. We'll talk about some things to look for from the Bengals offense this evening. We're not going to see Brian Cook tonight. We are not going to see Dax Hill this evening. Mentioned that Connor Lew is not going to go. It will be interesting to see how some of the battles lower on the depth chart start to unfold. And, really, we've also got to focus a little bit on the third cornerback position as well, because I think as the offseason came and went, a lot of us focused on swing tackle, linebacker, and slot/nickel corner as positions where you wondered if the Bengals couldn't have added somebody from the outside. That is Jalen Davis's spot right now. I don't know that he has done anything during training camp that would make anybody believe he should relinquish that spot. But I think he's going to be under the microscope tonight, and we'll certainly be watching him. On top of DJ Ivey, who also, one of the fun things about this sport is sometimes there is a player who's been a part of the team for a while that as, 7 months of off-season stuff comes and goes, you never focus on. And then training camp starts, and the guy starts making plays. In training camp, DJ Ivey has made a lot of plays. Wayne Boxmiller is standing by for Countdown to Kickoff. Every hour during our show, Tony Pike joins us for a training camp update, and he's so dedicated to his craft that moments before he makes his Bengals Radio Network debut with Dan and Lap, he gives us a training camp report, even though today really isn't technically training camp. It's the preseason. Tony joins me next. I'm Mo Egger. Glad you're with us this afternoon from Paycor Stadium. This is the R&L Carriers pregame sports talk. We are presented today by your Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers.
Cincinnati's ESPN 1530. Traffic.
From the UC Health Traffic Center, don't wait for answers for a cancer diagnosis.